Welcome to Booger's Drive-In Theater Podcast, and welcome to the very first episode where we will be talking about slasher films. Today, our guest is fugativeredeye. Introduce yourself, my friend.
Hi, I am fugativeredeye. I have a YouTube channel with just over 2,000 subscribers. Like I said, somewhere 2112 or thereabouts. I do reviews. I do Let's Plays, responses, reactions, collection videos. I have the biggest catalog of Go Nagai content out of anyone on YouTube. Nobody even comes close. So there's that. As far as like themes and stuff, I do a little of this and a little of that. I have skits, bits. I even have a cartoon called Sergeant Friend. So I don't really have just one set theme. But that's me.
Yeah, sort of like the direction that I'm going with this podcast. Also, one thing I wanted to add, since you mentioned Go Nagai, he and Chisu has like some of the most in-depth and encyclopedic Go Nagai knowledge. As I think not only Chisu, but didn't you also work on the Didn't you also edit on the Go Nagai wiki? Well?
I don't edit on the wiki. I have used it in videos before, but that is how I met Chisu. I'm not much of a wiki editor. But I have done my own deep dives into characters and stuff on the channel, so I have done encyclopedic type stuff on it, just not on a wiki, because I'm not much of a wiki guy.
Yeah, for a while I was mainly into, Go Nagai through Devilman, but, getting into those guys actually wanted me to, learn about Go Nagai's, catalog and his canon, and how so much of it is, less talked about, but that's neither there or near there, however you say it. Today we are...
Here nor there is how I would word that, but...
Yeah, but today we are talking about slasher films. Now, the reason I want to talk about slasher films, because I remember I saw your video on, how your opinions on slashers change, and I was because I related, because I remember you said you used to really like Jason X, but as you got older, became more and more stupid, and I think that and you kind of enjoyed it less, and
yeah.
And I kind of relate to that, and mainly my main active thing in Fugitive Red Eye's community is talking about slasher films, and I love slasher films. I have a lot to say about it. He likes slasher films, so why not talk about it? So I guess the first thing we'll start this podcast off with slasher films is so with the Halloween and Friday the 13th franchise, what would you say is your favorite out of say the Halloween franchise currently, and is there any hot takes or opinions you have on the franchise currently?
Yeah, I have all sorts of hot takes. For instance, one of my favorites, I don't know if it's my favorite, it was for a while, it's one of them still probably, is the Rob Zombie first Halloween movie. And that in and of itself is a hot take. I've got some issues with the dialogue, because the way that the girls talk in that is really cringe, but at the same time, that is also how teenage girls talk, so... nevertheless, that is the one thing, is the dialogue with that. I did not care for the sequel to it, but I also, a hot take I have, I love Halloween 1, it's great, but I also do think it is pretty overrated, the original Halloween 1. I think it's far from Carpenter's best. I think The Thing is a way better Carpenter movie. And Halloween 2, the original, I did not care for when I last saw it. It has been years, so I want to give it another chance, because that is another thing with me, is when I revisit stuff, sometimes I have a more favorable opinion. For instance, Halloween 3, I fucking love Halloween 3 now. I used to hate it when I first saw it, and not for the reason that a lot of people do. A lot of people typically don't like it because of Michael Myers being absent, or it's not connection. But really, for me, I think it was just because the state of mind I was in when I watched it. I was tired, and I went in expecting a so bad it's good movie, when actually it's just a genuinely good movie. It's a good mystery that almost is Lovecraftian in the way they're going and inspecting this town and this factory and all this stuff. So I like those. I do also really like The Return of Michael Myers, which is Halloween 4. As well as Halloween 2018, I did quite enjoy. I never bothered watching the 2 follow-ups to that. I've heard that they're not great. And then I also really liked Halloween Resurrection, but not because it's good, but because that one is really stupid, and that one is kind of so bad it's good. Did you ask about Friday the 13th too, or just Halloween thus far?
Friday the 13th. Yeah, you can delve into Friday the 13th.
Okay. Yeah, I know I kind of went on there for a minute, but then again, that's the whole point of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Friday the 13th, my favorite is Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, the beginning of the Jarvis trilogy, and then a close second would probably be Halloween 6, Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, which is the end of the Jarvis trilogy. So those two are both really good. Friday the 13th, I like most of the movies. The only one that I straight up don't like at all, is the remake. I really don't like the remake. Like you said earlier, Jason X is one that I used to love when I was younger. Is so bad it's good. But rewatching it, there's like 4 scenes that I like in that movie. Like, I like the homage to the sleeping bag kill. In fact, it's even better when he's like bashing the 2 chicks together rather than just hitting one against the tree like he did in Part 7. Uber Jason's cool. As small of a part that he plays, which again is part of my issue with it, is how small of a part it is. And there's funny lines and stuff like that, but it's largely a boring movie with bad CGI. So as far as that goes, I do have bits I like about it, but it has really grown off me. Whereas with the exact opposite happened with Friday the 13th Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. I used to despise that movie. Now I actually like it. Like, it's still one of the lesser ones, but it has grown on me quite a bit because Creighton Duke is a pretty good character. The Evil Dead connection is interesting, and it is a unique movie. So despite my initial grievances with it, it's grown on me. So that's a hot take as well. I think Part 9 is actually massively underrated. So there we go. That's kind of a summary. I know I've rambled on for a bit, so I'll let you take control back of your own show, but there you go.
Yeah, also, Deca Striker has, joined, and we'll introduce him soon. Just a reminder, Deca, you are being recorded. I'm doing the first episode of my podcast. We're just talking about slasher movies. But since
sure, I can tap in. Is it cool if I'm, here for a little bit, or I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, sure.
I'm not committing to something, and then it's if I tap out, I'm going to be you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about slashers and stuff.
Yeah, you don't gotta commit to it. Obviously, I think Sugar and I can carry the show if you have to head off.
Yeah.
No, but I should be good. But let me I can add in my few cents on slashers.
Okay.
So, well, before you do that, I wanted, since you guys are both here, I think it's a perfect time to chime in about the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. I like both movies, but, yeah, I agree that the first film is underrated. I actually do not mind, the excessive cursing, because you also had, the excessive cursing from, Rob Zombie's, Michael Myers' dad. I think it kind of adds, a very, edgy, nonchalant, Rob Zombie flair to it, and I think Rob Zombie as prevalent in House of a Thousand Corpses. Is that what it's called?
Yes, that's what it's correct.
It has Rob Zombie's movies is very tongue in cheek, and it's not just serious horror. So that's why I don't mind the dialogue. But also, I think
for me, it's not the swearing. It's not the swearing that bothers me about the dialogue. It's the fact that they talk like real teenage girls, and real teenage girls have serious brain rot. So
yes.
you know.
Yeah,
I could chime into my opinion on those, despite it being a while. But I'll let you cook.
Yeah, but also why I do think it's great is that how it humanizes Jason to where a lot of people do not like how it humanizes Jason.
And by Jason, you mean Michael Myers.
Okay,
no,
Michael
he meant
Myers.
Jason.
Michael Myers. To where, people hate it because, it kind of humanizes Michael Myers to where Michael Myers is supposed to be the embodiment of the boogeyman, but he's still the boogeyman in this in this film. I mean, obviously, with his interactions with Loomis, it's clear that this dude is he was kind of messed up from the start, how he screwed with dead animals. Yeah, he's sympathetic, but I think the film is trying to get across that really bad people can be sympathetic, but that doesn't make them any less bad people. So I think it actually makes the film scarier, kind of showing someone as evil as Michael, as someone who was at least humane or human or has some human qualities, because like like the Anthony Perkins or whoever was like the, or Malcolm, whoever was the Loomis actor.
It's Malcolm McDowell that plays Loomis in the zombies films.
Yeah, it's Malcolm McDowell.
Like he said like, like Michael Myers like might be a charming boy, but deep down, he's actually like a dark evil fucker, and I think the films try to convey that. But that's my 2 cents on why I think also like, the directing's actually like really creative. Like especially
Well, I think the backstory stuff is actually what I like most about the first Rob Zombie Halloween, just because it's unique, whereas the rest of the movie after that is just sort of a remake of the original Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it alright if I chime in with my thoughts on it, or is there more
sure.
you wanted to? Okay, so not necessarily a hot take, but it is going to be a disagreement between the both of you. I actually don't for either Rob Zombie films. Again, not a hot take by any means, but it's I don't like them. I do think, as I've thought about it more, they wouldn't be something. It would be the kind of thing you'd see as like a very low budget, like a 70s slasher in terms of style. Obviously not in terms of the look or anything like that, but you know what I mean. Like in terms of like the grunginess of it.
Zombie is very grindhouse.
Yeah,
it's always been kind of his MO.
However, I feel like when humanizing characters that are usually typically like silent, it's like kind of like a tightrope that you're always walking on. There's a good way to do it. And then look, if you look at it as like his lens through what Michael is, like a reimagining and not just like a straight up remake, obviously it works better, and I think that's what he was going for. But I just the backstory was like the chubby Michael. There's something about it that just didn't click with me. It has been years. But
well, I'll tell you why it did work for me. It did work for me is there's a distinction. Because after he does his first kill, he is silent for the rest of his life. It's like he's a separate character almost, because there's the original boy, and then there's the silent monster, right? Like,
so the way you look at it sort of like is that as soon as he takes his first kill, his humanity's gone. Like, that's why there's like
more or less, or because he just kind of goes silent for like the rest of the movie, and like when he starts wearing the masks and never takes them off, like there's a point where he just stops talking, and then that's when I think he truly becomes, he ceases to be Michael Myers the boy and becomes, as I'll throw in a fucking nerdy fucking fan reference. He becomes the Shape, right? Because that's the name for the killer.
I will say this. While Michael's portrayal, like through that lens, I can see why you like it. One thing that I just think that it's a little bit like hard for me to, even more so than Michael, honestly, is Scott Taylor Compton, I believe the actor's name, his performance as Laurie. I do not care for at all.
I do agree with you on that. She is kind of unbearable.
She is loud, obnoxious, and I think that, and I hate using this term, I think she's just trying to be a little bit edgy for the sake of it, but not like in a way that's entertaining.
Well, that's when I say I have issues with the dialogue. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
As far as the sequel, the only main issue I have with the sequel, because it's really experimental and shit, which is fine. Like I could get down with that maybe, but again, it's a little too experimental at times, and also
the unicorn shit imagery.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not the issue necessarily that I have with it. The biggest issue I take with the sequel is how much they make Loomis into an unlikable prick.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was gonna bring up, is that Loomis kind of becomes like a power hungry, because like if I remember from the sequel, he like makes a book out of Michael. He's got like a show going on. Like, this isn't Dr. Loomis in any sort of shape or form. He wouldn't be this self-centered around Michael, like making it sort of like a little publicity for sort of thing. Like that is a huge problem I take with it.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead and take the reins back, Sugar. We've gone on for a minute.
Well, actually, like, I agree with you on the Loomis problem. I love, like, Halloween 2. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is, like, one of my top 4 Halloween movies. But I do think the Loomis issue, but I think Loomis's characterization, like, he's definitely exploiting, the tragedies that is, like, that involves Michael Myers. And it feels so out of character as to why John Carpenter created Loomis, in that, he's, like, this guy who's, like, perpetually haunted, he, like, his whole goal is to actually prevent, like Michael Myers like darkness. Well, he wants people to be aware of it, but he would kind of like never exploit off of it. So like that was like my one issue of the film. But I mean, I say yeah, that's actually, but the experimentalness and also it being more gory and violent. I mean, if you're going to like kind of like make a sequel to a remake to a film that never needed to be a franchise, I think the best you can do is just rely on gore and and kind of experiment a little bit. And it did so while also still trying to feel like a true sequel. Like it definitely followed up the events and the tragedy.
Well, I'll give it this. At least it's original. Like, that is one thing I'll give it, is that it's like its own concept. It's zombie taking it in its own direction, which a lot of these remakes and sequels don't like to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but but it still feels like a Halloween movie. Like it understands like the whole like the boogeyman like aspect of what makes Michael Myers scary.
See, I don't know if I necessarily agree that it feels like a Halloween movie, but like the thing is like even in interviews, like they ask Zombie what all that shit with like the white horses and like him seeing his family, like what any of that means, and Zombie literally said, "I don't know, I just thought it was cool."
Yeah.
So that is a little bit, and also. I also have a feeling, as dumb as the joke as it's going to sound, it's probably a little bit true to extent. Sherry Moon Zombie, I have a feeling he just wanted to add her into the sequel again, just to show off his wife. He's done that a few times. Like,
he really does like to show off his wife. He does that in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Like, I know it sounds like a joke, but he does do that like a lot.
I mean, I don't blame him. His wife is hot.
I mean, yeah, it's a flex, I guess, right? Like the fucking dances that he has her do in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's everything I have to say about the slasher, about the Halloween films. Now for
All I want to say with Halloween 2, sorry to cut you off, is that one thing I did notice, and it's interesting you mentioned it with Halloween 2 specifically, is that while there has been a rise in people liking the original remake, I know, you know what I mean, the original remake, but the second one has gotten a lot of love in recent years. Like a following coming around with the Halloween 2 Rob Zombie and Hello Corbin.
Yeah,
we're doing a Sugar Boogers slasher podcast.
Yeah, or actually, well, I do want to throw in a little gushing segment about Halloween 4, because Halloween 4 is my personal favorite Halloween movie. The reason why Halloween 4 is my favorite, well, partly because I mean, it was like my first Halloween movie, but I think why Halloween 4 is like my favorite. Like the kills are not like the most violent, but I actually do like how even if they're not the most violent, they're like still kind of like the more like kind of like they're more cartoony and they're more otherworldly, especially with Michael Myers like impaling the chick with like a shotgun. That's like one of my favorite slasher kills ever. And actually I do think it's like the most scary for how Halloween 4 is like a core theme in the Halloween films is trauma, and how it explores that with the victim of being a little girl, and the little girl and like that trauma transferring to the little girl, to where the little girl played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who well,
not by Jamie Lee Curtis, it's by what's her name?
Daniel Harris. Daniel Harris,
yeah.
Well, something that's interesting with that, with the passing of the torch that they tried to do but didn't commit to, it's very reminiscent of the ending to Friday the 13th Part 5, and also to a lesser extent Part 4, with the kind of trying to make Tommy Jarvis into the killer, but then they just kind of abandoned
both of those were interesting directions had they committed to them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, before we get too away from Halloween 2, Rob Zombie, there's one other little thing I wanted to bring up. There's the scene where he gets like mad and like throws over, like he like tips over the car. And that is, like, so similar to a scene in the 1970s Incredible Hulk series where where David Banner turns into the Hulk and destroys his car. Like, I always make jokes when we were watching the movie that it was like he's the Incredible Hulk.
Fucking that's nice. I actually need to watch the 70s Hulk, because I love the Eric Bana like 2003 Hulk, but I actually never watched the 70s Hulk or much.
The 70s Hulk to me is the definitive Hulk. I fucking love that series. But anyway, I'll let you take back. We did have Corbin or Rabid Waffles join us here. I don't know if you want to have him introduce himself and stuff like that.
Yeah. Introduce yourself, Corbin, and add what you think about slasher films, hot takes, favorite slasher films, blah blah blah.
I like the part where Mike Myers says, "Yeah, baby."
Yeah, baby.
That was pretty irrelevant to mention.
This is a Halloween mask. This is Mike Myers.
Oh yeah.
You know, Baby Driver.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought he was referencing Austin Powers because Mike Myers.
Well, he was.
I thought he was referencing Austin Powers. Is it okay if I ask?
Yeah, he was.
If there's going to be a moment within this podcast, we're going to mention standalone slashers, because that's going to be pretty fun to talk about.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be, like, you know, a separate video, because I'm playing. You guys can join, because I think, like, you know, obscure slashers or standalone slashers is its own topic. But we can, like, you know, definitely talk about whether, like, you know, what, like, horror...
I would say that would definitely be, because, well, I do enjoy franchise slashers, I have to say. Standalone, which again, I'm not going to make it part of the... I'm not going to hang in on this too much because I know the focus is franchise stuff, but that would be fun to do because I just think there's so many hidden gems in the standalone slashers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I have the Stranger one film I'm gonna spoil for the upcoming episode is gonna be included, and how I actually like how that film didn't get a sequel. But that's, you know, a topic for the upcoming video. But is there any...
Pumbaa's the Mexican version of well, kind of like Friday the 13th, but that one's movie's just amazing. But anyways, and then. Yeah, so you guys talked about Friday the 13th and Halloween so far.
Yeah, hey, yo, speaking of hot takes, Steven, what do you think of the Friday the 13th remake?
Oh, God, I knew it was coming, bro. I knew this shit was coming.
As soon as you joined, I knew I had to bring it up because you have a bad taste.
That's okay. Look, that's fair. Look, I like it. I'm not going to say it's my favorite. I do kind of gas it up just because I do think that it's
because you got to be that contrarian when I'm talking about how
I got to be that contrarian fact. It's not like, but look, in all seriousness, it's not that bad. I do think it's a pretty...
It is that bad. It's dull. That's
even at this point, your opinion is that bad.
Yeah,
it's not like it's.
I mean, I do think the special effects and...
I would take this from a guy who had better connection, but I can't really connect with you right now on this issue.
I mean, I think like Friday the 13th remake. I mean, I enjoy it because I definitely think Derek Mears and like,
he's good, Jason. In terms of physicality, that I think has to be addressed.
Oh yeah, and like just.
I think it has to be addressed that none of the characters are memorable, and that Jason takes a hostage, and that like it has that fucking weird, grimy, like 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake look on it, which just does not fit Friday the 13th. It doesn't fit Friday the 13th though.
Well, I think it fits the remake and what the remake is going for. And the remake is supposed to be this like kind of like danger, like, you know, being hunted in the woods, like, you know, sort of like
because like I like it for Texas Chainsaw remake. That's fine. I like it on that, but I just don't think it fits Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because it was done better in that movie. I think they could have done it right. They could have done it right, and like that aesthetic could have worked, but I just don't think it had. It was good. It was well written in any way.
Anyway, we have been derailing a lot. Did you have the next place you wanted to go structurally, Sugar, or should we just keep going like this? It's up to you.
Yeah, you know, you can just keep on throwing whatever. But I would like to throw in a little segment about like slasher kills and which slasher kills you think are the coolest.
Shit, this is gonna be
the axe kill from the first Jack Frost movie. I think is like one of the greatest slasher kills of all time. How he shoves the axe down the guy's throat and he's like, I was only axing for a smoke.
Well,
let me think.
Also, the sleeping bag kill from Friday the 13th, Part 7. That's pretty iconic. And then also the one in Jason X when he hits the two girls together in the sleeping bag. I really like.
I'll say this: that one kill in Jason X where the couples be fucking, and he just interrupts it and slices that bitch in half, and you actually see her back kind of split. That is one of the best Friday kills, I have to say.
Oh, also, Granted, we haven't gotten to this franchise yet, but I assume we will. Chainsaw Kill in Terrifier 4.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's iconic.
Terrifier 4, oh boy. You saw it early?
I meant 3.
I know.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
my favorite Friday the 13th...
Since that technically counts as a franchise with 3 films, I think we can talk about
Yeah, no, I think...
I was like, what? Did a new one come out and I missed it?
I meant 3. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
But I do think that since it's a franchise, Sugar, do you think it's okay for Terrifier?
Sugar had Terrifier on the docket and the stuff he listed, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Terrifier, Bed Kill in Terrifier 2. Also another great kill.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic one.
Yeah, I have to...
If we're counting it as a slasher, even though it really isn't, I mean, the headshot in Maniac is pretty amazing. The original Maniac, I haven't seen the remake.
If you want another hot take, I think that the remake of Maniac is better than the original.
Yeah,
that take is actually as hot as you believe. A lot of people have been saying that remake is really, really good.
Elijah Wood just does a really good job. The inner monologue and the point of view.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Maniac's another great slasher film.
There should be more like first-person style movies, like a Hardcore Henry.
In general, God, if this was an hot test, I would gush about Hardcore Henry right now.
Yeah.
And I not like found footage though. Obviously, there's like funny.
Oh,
right. This on footage shit, but like
this isn't really a slasher, but another there's a lot of really good kills in Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, one of them actually, most of them actually kind of traumatized me as a kid. But I was a really dumb kid.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. But I think but with Terrifier 2, if I could gush about the bed scene, not only it kind of fits the direction of the story, and we actually get to know Allie really well to where and I actually really like Allie as a character, and she's actually shown to be one of the main character's best friends. So I mean, just the idea of fucking dangling her corpse, and while she slowly dies and ripping her flesh out. I mean, that it's just objectively of in itself is cool, but
I also just love how sadistic it is, because Art is super sadistic when it comes to his female victims in those movies, especially.
Yeah, he's clearly
sexist. But I want
sexist.
to be an asshole because I just hate the idea of off-screen kills. I kind of want to see what he did with the mom. Obviously, he must have decapitated her because.
The mom in which one? Because in Terrifier,
the mom of Allie, the chick in the bed, the chick in the bed. You remember?
Okay, yeah. The one, is it her head that he uses as a candy bucket?
It was her head. I
believe it was her. I actually thought
for a second, I thought you were talking about Sienna's mom. I'm like, what are you talking about? He blew her fucking head off with a sawed-off shotgun, which is great.
Speaking of headshots, that's one of the better headshots in a movie too.
Well, I love that Art the Clown just uses a fucking gun in all of the Terrifier movies when slashers.
Yeah, that's part of his character. So
that's one of the most iconic things about him is that he has a gun.
Oh yeah, why Art the Clown actually works as a clown villain is that he's actually really funny to where even in sadistic scenes like the Santa scene, the bombing.
Oh,
scene.
I love the Santa scene from Terrifier.
Oh, the shower scene is one of my favorite kills. Oh, actually, I should have brought this up with the favorite kills because the shower scene of that movie is became one of my favorite kills in the movie.
Yeah, the fucking chainsaw that he's got in there, and the way he just fucking
but the whole way that scene's directed was done really well.
That entire scene's great. And how he looks into her eyes when he kills her, because that thing she was saying about how she wanted to look into his eyes and see that kind of evil.
And also, that was the funniest part of the movie, too.
Yeah.
I will say, I probably like the shower scene better than the bedroom scene, and both scenes are great.
I think I agree. The shower scene is probably the best Terrifier scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think, there's some people who argue the bedroom scene's more graphic, but I'm like, I don't know. I mean, you see a lot of
when he shoves the chainsaw up that guy's ass.
And you see his
that scene was
fucking erupt. They fucking
and then he makes a blood angel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Terrifier, the Allie's bedroom death scene is my favorite Terrifier kill, but Terrifier 3 is my favorite movie overall.
I think the Terrifier movies get better with each installment.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
I like the first one just for as a guilty pleasure. Like I mean, for like a little tidbit to where I think like most people who like say Terrifier is just like overly gory for the sake of it. I think like that's more of like the case of like the second film, but my interpretation of Terrifier.
That is a weird take because the second one is where he went out of his way to add more story. The first one had a lot less story.
The first one, I'm sorry, the first one.
Okay, well I guess it would technically be the second if we're counting all feature films in the franchise because there was All Hallows Eve.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you go a second, and then I'll add something which I think. But go ahead.
But like a theme I like to interpret for Terrifier 2 and 3, and I guess like Terrifier 1, if you're stressing it, is kind of like the nature of evil. But I like to think about but from like a biblical standpoint, because I think with Terrifier 2, like why like Sienna was like turned into an angel, is that I think Art the Clown like in terms of like Christian mythology is kind of like like a demon, like kind of like a trickster.
That's like explicitly confirmed in Terrifier 3 as well.
Yeah, so I think like I disagree with it being overly gory for the sake of it, because I mean according to those like stories, like in the terms of the nature of evil, like fucking villains like Art the Clown are actually needlessly sadistic. So I actually think it serves a thematic purpose. That like why there's like child murder or whatever, and actually that's why I think like the child murder being off screen is like kind of detracts from like the film's themes.
That's something that I'm glad you brought up, because someone I know who I respect your opinion and all that, but like they said that they didn't like in Terrifier 3 that he killed kids, which to me it doesn't
Have
make
they
sense.
seen fucking All Hallows Eve? Literally, like his first not his first kill, but one of his most prominent kills from that movie is kids.
Even then, in the second one, he was trying to kill Sienna's brother. And it's within character, he's that sadistic to where, I could see him killing kids.
It really fucking throws me off that Sienna's brother is fucking 19 in Terrifier 3 when he's supposed to be like 12 in Terrifier 2.
I don't know how anybody could see any limits to Art the Clown's brutality at all. Like, how could you even think that he has a line? He clearly doesn't.
A guy who turns women upside down and cuts them in half by their crotch, like
that's...
No, yeah.
Like Art the Clown is the most sadistic killer of all time in any fiction ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like since you guys
that people go ahead.
Since you guys like know mythology and stuff better than I do, so like like weren't like demons like traditionally like depicted as going to like through the line of like killing kids or whatever, like Art the Clown would?
I mean, most of the demonic possession stuff and things you see with that are just through like pop culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say that it is demonic. Like child sacrifice and stuff is a very demonic concept in nature. Like that is, so like again, it would be fitting and thematically with the character being a demon. And something I do like about Terrifier is the creator himself has like pointed out like part of the goal with the movie is to introduce a little bit more lore with each movie so that you fully get a grasp of it by the end. And he only plans for there to be 4 movies, maybe 5 if he needs to make it like to fully get out there. But 4 is like the goal.
And we're getting a video game.
Oh man, I can't wait for 4 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
One thing I want to point out, Sugar, is that when you brought up that people complain that the movies are just gory for the sake of gory, I want to bring up something important, and I know it's going to sound a little bit shocking, but like let's really think about it for a second, is that I don't think there's any slasher, even in the 80s, 70s, or anything, that were even half or even a quarter as gory as Terrifier. Because if you really think about it, something like Friday the 13th Part 7, which at its goriest would be considered like a C or a high or a C, like a high C or a low B tier in terms of like on-screen blood and violence. If we're going into like the uncut version specifically,
which is lost media, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you could still run across like very, very rough VHS composite like images and shit like that, but it's very rough to the point where it's practically lost, and I think there is some bits that are lost, but don't quote me on that. But the truth is, even then, like, Lucio Fulci, as gory as he was for his films, nothing compares to the level of Terrifier. I mean...
I do think Terrifier is probably up there as one of the goriest franchises.
Just even in movies in general, like, I'm not talking about like, disturbingness. I'm talking about in just terms of, like, on-screen... You gotta
talk about the on-screen gore. You gotta talk about the on-screen
No, see, Dando was really... no, but, like, you know, it's just that even in terms of, like, Lucio Fulci with, like, on-screen gore, I don't even think that... I think he would achieve something if he had the budget and capabilities of a Terrifier production, but it's never been to, like, this extent. So something that just... Also, even the pacing of kills is something that we've never seen in a slasher. Sometimes for certain slashers that are not, like...
Yeah, Terrifier has pretty high kill counts, pretty quickly paced
like,
for a slasher.
I think it's fair to say, like, every, like, 10 or so minutes, there's a set piece of some sort. Like, would you say, like, that's kind of fair?
I'd say, yeah, that sounds about right.
Sometimes, for certain slashers, whether people like to admit this or not, and it is the truth, sometimes there are certain slashers where you have to wait until, like, an hour into the movie to actually get into, like, the meat and potatoes.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a lot of slasher movies that, like, just have a bunch of filler between the kills, but with just characters just doing boring shit. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, a lot of the people have an issue with some of the early Friday the 13th because of that, but I actually don't mind it.
Well, even then with the Friday the 13th is that they kind of help that they're kind of shot on, like, a location that's, like, really nice, like the woodsy area, and you have, like, fun camp hijinks.
I think that's, like, the main complaint most people have with slasher movies and monster movies is that there's not enough of the slasher or the monster. It's always focused on a bunch of random people going somewhere.
And Terrifier absolutely delivers on that.
No, Terrifier is a dull moment. So that's something that I think that... Because even with something as gory as Hatchet, which, you know, is something to appreciate. By the way, had a slasher movie where they actually got the guy who played Jason in Part 7 onward. Kane Hodder. I don't know why I forgot his name. And those movies are pretty brutal. But in the first one, from memory, I believe 50 minutes into the movie is where shit starts hitting the fan. So, I don't know. I think that with Terrifier, you really got to appreciate it. And even the slashers with good pacing usually have some pretty lame kills. Like, I love Scream, but let's be real, do you watch Scream for the kills? It's mainly just, like, slightly bloody gut stabs.
Mm-hmm. No, Scream, I feel like you more watch for the characters, especially Scream 1. Billy and Stu in Scream 1 are great.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times Scream kind of just feels like almost like a drama movie with a killer in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel sort of drama.
I mean, I feel like most people, like, who say, like, you know, certain movies you don't really watch for the kills, I say, like, you know, it kind of depends on, I think it's mostly delivered that, you know, to make a good kill. I mean, yeah, you know, like, it being kind of, like, uncensored or violent, like, that kind of goes into making a good kill. But no matter, like, the restrictions, I think it's, like, how creative you go with, like, you know, the kill. Like, you know, the original Blob, like, you know, even though, like, most of the deaths are, like, you know... like, most of the deaths happen off-screen, but, like, and you actually don't really see, like, you know, the Blob consuming the victim all that much, but it's, like, done with, like, so much, like, you know, creativity, and just, like, how quick it is, and actually, you actually see, you know, the Blob kind of, like, you know, like, going up and down, acting like this, like, fleshy creature before he makes an attack, and I'm like, yeah, that's actually kind of cool. So, and that's really the crux of most, 30s to 40s monster movies, and most, like, 50s B movies. But, you know, but really, like, but now that you mentioned Kane Hodder, Deku Striker, I will say that, like, I do think that movie, Friday the 13th 7, and I guess Jason X, even though objectively it is a terrible movie, I think that's a great movie that you watch, like, you know, I think it's a good example of a movie that's good, even though it's mostly just gory for the sake of it, and the gores mostly carry it.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. When you were bringing up the point about people taking issue, it's like, I have no problem with that. Like, if a slasher movie is just gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous, that's part of the fun. Like,
well, because that's like
the point of horror, I think.
Yeah.
It's scary that part of exploitation and fun is that I don't know why people would take issue with that. There are some people who are semi-slasher fans, if you know what I mean. Like, they'll watch, and this isn't to knock anybody or anything like that, but they'll watch, like, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, but when they get to, and even the occasional Friday the 13th, when they get to, like, the Terrifier stuff, it's like, yeah, it's too much for me, and that's fine, but it's like, you can't say that the gore detracts as a slasher. That's just, it adds something that we haven't seen in, like, fucking decades, literally.
Yeah.
Like, I'm afraid some of them just take an issue with that.
Yeah, I think, like, horror and slashers and horror, they mostly exist because I think, we have, like, a fascination of, like, the taboo and uncanny, or in other words, scary, and we like violence and we like gore. I think those things are objectively cool, and I think, horror films, like, kind of, like, revel in that. Like, most films, like, do things, like, nothing more than out of, like, this is cool, and which is fine, because, I mean, it leads, the interpretation of other viewers, and, art is an expression, so, with horror films, being nothing more than just, like, than being there just to be violent or whatever, I'm like, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Like, with Friday the 13th, like, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but, like, most of the characters and most of the story after part 1 were mostly just there to give an excuse for really, really cool and stylish kills. But there's really nothing. But there's nothing wrong with that.
You're not really supposed to care about all the generic teenage characters in the Friday the 13th sequels. They're there to pad out the kill count, and everyone who likes
care about
the
characters. When I care or not care about the characters in the remake, it's an issue, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, they're just boring. They're boring, and I like even seeing them get killed is boring.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, well, like. My
like a lot of the Friday the 13th movies, they don't make you hate the protagonist, but they just make them like goofy or like give them like some personality, but you're still just there to watch them die. There are like a lot of movies where they try to make you hate the protagonist so that you like get like satisfied by watching them die. But either way, the point is just to watch them die.
Yeah,
Oh,
like it's not but like the fucking boring ass stoners in the remake. Even seeing them get killed is not satisfactory. Because first off, the kills aren't even that satisfactory in the remake.
Honestly, what they should have done is made them really, really douchey. Like, make them, like, just complete assholes.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's actually, like, why I kind of, like, most like, about most slasher films is that, the heroes and the characters are mostly kind of, like, flawed people. It adds, like, a relatability to it. Like, sort of like a side tangent, like how most of, like, kind of...
I mean, if you want, you can interpret Jason Voorhees as an anti-hero in a lot of his movies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely, because
Yeah, he's punishing sin.
Yeah, because, like, I forgot the movie, but he did, like, he did it, but he does spare children, and he actually sees them as innocent, and not only Jason, kills, like, really bad...
It was part 5. It was,
Jason's, like, the opposite of Terrifier. You see him, like, where he's, like, it
was part 5 you're thinking of, the little black kid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah. But also...
talked about rated part 5 is.
Although that, actually, to be fair though, using part 5 as an example is not a good metric for Jason because it's not Jason.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been years.
That guy kills like a Jason. That fucking nurse, whatever, kills like a god. And are you like, part 5 has some pretty.
I love part 5. I do think it is underrated. Like a lot of people get mad that it's not Jason, but I'm like, it's fine. It might as well be.
Yeah.
It's my favorite of the series.
But like, but it's funny that you mentioned the characters. Like my favorite Friday the 13th kill was in part 3. I think her name is Vera, whatever the lady that had a hook through her eye. She was like one of the first characters in a slasher film that I actually kind of like invested in, mainly because I think that's her name. I don't know. But I really, really liked her because I thought, she was also really sweet. And she
only character whose name I remember in part 3, other than Jason, is I think there's Krista and there's I think Shelley.
That's a funny story with part 3. Is I don't remember the character's name, but there's like this really fat weirdo character with like a perm. You guys remember him?
Shelley.
Huh?
His name is Shelley.
Shelley, yeah.
He's the one where Jason he's the one who gives Jason his mask, essentially.
Yeah, but the interesting story is that he technically was never an actor. He was just some guy that was walking around the lot and on set, and they just randomly asked him to be part of the movie.
Huh.
Yeah. Little fun tidbit, right?
I like that for a while the Friday the movies were done like in parts, like they at least like acted like they cared about some form of continuity.
Yeah, like the first, like, it's really only the first, like, I want to say 6.
Mhm.
I mean, it's loose continuity, but it's not like any movie necessarily.
I think they even did it up to they did parts for up to.
I would say even
Jason
maybe even
Takes Manhattan, didn't they?
Yeah, but Jason Takes Manhattan has a bunch of contradictions.
Yeah, bad continuity.
Yeah. I would say like the first 6 though are actually pretty solid continuity wise.
Well, technically 7 is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess 7 would be too. It isn't really until 8 that they started contradicting some of the lore.
I have to say,
I mean, Jason Takes Manhattan was like one of the worst of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to be fair, I actually love Jason Takes Manhattan. I used to not like that movie, but it's actually one of my favorites now.
Like Vera on the surface is like not all that interesting.
It's got like some of the funnier moments.
But how sweet she is, but how she's also kind of like the moral voice. So much so where in the kill she kind of gives like back the wallet because she thought the guy who she thought Jason was like the guy who dropped his wallet in the pond. So I really liked her, because she was like the first like character in a slasher movie that I liked, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, she kind of she gets murdered in the most brutal way possible. That's actually kind of like shocking and scary, and also it's an eye shot because I mean,
also Jason like raped a chick in part 3, and that's just something you gotta kind of accept and ignore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think that and and Friday the 13th. That.
Well, the only reason I say it's one you gotta kind of just gloss over is because like any other slasher villain, it really wouldn't matter that much. But Jason raping is kind of antithetical to the character.
Oh yeah. Because like Jason, like Corbin said, he's like an anti-hero or an anti-villain.
Well, not even just that, but because he drowned due to people having sex. He has like a hatred for sex, so him raping just makes no sense.
Yeah, like it seems really weird for him to rape because like don't you get like the impression like he does hate sex in most of the movies.
Yeah, it's just part 3 that he doesn't.
Yeah.
Hold on. But I mean, hold on. Let me ask you a question. In part 3, what is the alleged rape bit? Because I must have not remembered.
It's that chick, Christy.
I mean, it's not alleged. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's a flashback. Like she's traumatized from it, and then she has like a memory resurface of it, of how she was in the woods, and then like Jason like raped her, and then she woke up, and then like later on he like takes off his mask and like gives her this creepy smile, and like that gives her like fucking PTSD from that memory of him raping her in the first place.
It could be that she was just terrified of his image, and he.
There are some people who try to cope and say that he didn't, but it's pretty explicitly clear to me. Even if it never is outright said that that's what he did, it's pretty clear that that's what he did.
Okay, but let's say
it's pretty obvious.
He had a talk with her under the water, and he was just trying to get her attention. And
yeah, Jason, known talker.
Well, like he mumbled shit. And, it's just maybe she thought that was cute and things spiral from there. You never know.
I have no interest in this anymore, Steven.
I don't think she liked it in the scene I saw.
Yeah, no, she definitely didn't. Anyway, Sugar, did you have a specific thing you want to move on to, or?
One more thing I wanted to add to like Friday the 13th 3 is that the two best kills are not only the Vera scene, but also the eye-popping scene with like the one guy where Jason like squashed one guy's head in the eye.
His granddaughter in part 6 of Halloween.
Okay, Halloween. Okay, I was really confused there for a second.
Like both of those, like actually not only utilize the 3D effect, like really creatively, with how it focuses on like the thing flowing in directly.
Halloween 6 was actually my introduction to Halloween. I saw it when I was like 12.
I haven't watched Friday the 13th 3D with 3D glasses, but I would imagine just how like hyper focused like the object that's flying towards is like very well, I guess, like framed. It's like very well like positioned and stage where it actually looks like it's flinging towards you. And I can imagine in 1980, I think I can imagine in 19 theaters in 1982, it must have done what A Day in the Train did to in the late 1800s, whenever that came out. Anyway,
I think they should have done an alternate timeline where Tommy Jarvis does end up like a serial killer and follows in Jason's footsteps.
That would have been, yeah.
But you guys think of any slasher kills that utilize tearing someone's eye out or stabbing someone's eye? Usually eye kills are always the kill.
Slasher kill, but I really like the kill in Zombie.
Yeah, I was about to bring that one up. Yeah, the fucking splinter.
Where it's like they literally stab the eye, which is I think it was you that told me, or someone told me.
Yeah, they used a real corpse. It's a real eye.
Yeah, it's a real eyeball, and that thing just gets fucking hit by the like sharpest bit of wood, and it's not a slasher, but my god, that is definitely the best eye kill out there.
I think Zombie gets really good in its third act. I think there is a lot of slow build-up.
Yeah.
It's a good movie overall, but it gets better as it goes on.
There is some padding, but I'll say this: it has the best and only underwater shark, which is a real fucking shark, which is crazy. Zombie fight there is, which is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, the soundtrack in that movie is actually really good.
Yes.
Also, this is going to be a massive backtrack to way earlier in the conversation, but I just wanted to bring up when we were talking about whether people watch it for the kills or off-screen kills and shit like that. I just wanted to kind of bring up briefly Hitchcock with Psycho, with the way that most of the kills are in your head, most of the you see the knife about to hit each body part, but you don't actually see the impact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really effective in Psycho, because Hitchcock's philosophy is your mind can make up worse than he could depict on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that is one of the most iconic horror kills of all time. There's so many references to that scene.
Well, yeah, and Psycho's the prototypical slasher. Psycho was a huge inspiration. Psycho and old Italian giallo movies are what made slashers a thing in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Still to this day, every time I rewatch both Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, most of the off-screen stuff, and also in the Higurashi visual novels, I always imagine some of the most, vile and, scariest shit on every new viewing. And that is, one plus side in,
having it be in your head, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like Hitchcock did that with a lot of his movies. Rear Window, you never actually see any of the violence either, right? You just hear it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, and I think, a lot of people are just as, if not more scared of sound than visuals.
I could see that. Also, have you seen the Psycho sequels, Sugar?
I have not.
They are good. Psycho 2 is great. Very underrated. I love Psycho 2. Psycho 4 is even more underrated. I fucking love Psycho 4. Because Psycho 4 is both a prequel and a sequel. And it actually has a pretty satisfying ending where it gives Norman Bates a happy ending.
Yeah.
Where does Psycho 3 land?
I like all the Psycho sequels. The second one was my favorite, though.
Psycho 2 is good. Psycho 3 is okay. Psycho 3 is probably the least, in my... out of the 4 Psycho movies, Psycho 3 is probably the weakest, but I still like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that one. And
one more bit I want to add in until you guys add in stuff before we end the show is that
go ahead, good.
So the reason I brought up eye kills, so in terms of violence, the one thing that actually used to got a big gut punch out of me was ears, to where the Star Trek 2 eel scene, or the ear, the set eel, used to traumatize the shit out of me, because I always thought the ears was the most sensitive or scary part for someone to actually harm. But I think now growing up, especially with Friday 13th, the part 3 kills I mentioned, I think the eyes and the vision are the most ooh, that's gotta hurt.
I agree. Eye mutilation freaks me out every time. Even with something have you ever seen the Happy Tree Friends episode Eyes Cold Lemonade?
I might have, but it's probably been
That one
a long
still
time
makes
ago.
me squirm, and it's a fucking Happy Tree Friends episode of all things.
Yeah.
But it's just because eyes in particular, really, because it's like an eye getting juiced like a lemon into lemonade. It's really, yeah.
I would say that eyes aren't the be-all, end-all for me. What is the be-all, end-all for me, and thankfully, and I do say thankfully, that this isn't a common trope in horror films, nails.
Oh yeah,
anything with
like
nails.
Higurashi when fucking Shion's ripping off. Is it no? Yeah, when
Neon.
Shion's getting her nails ripped. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, like I can't remember if it's a flashback where it happens, because it's Shion. It's Shion that it happens to, or does it? I can't remember, one of the two. But point is, the nails getting ripped off. That's like one of the most iconic like scenes in Higurashi in that arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, didn't mean to interrupt. So you were saying eyes are particular.
Yeah. That's all I had to say.
For you? Oh, okay.
And really, like, you know, I already covered all my topics, so I'll let you guys run the show if you want.
Well, I think we're getting pretty close to a good point to call it. I will say, that you know, slashers, they're a good genre that I quite like. They're comfort food, as the Maniac put it. Great YouTuber, by the way, the Maniac.
I do highly recommend the Maniac.
Yeah, but like, because you know what you're getting into, but that's part of what you like about it, because you're getting more of like what you know.
Mm-hmm.
I do like some experimental ones. I think that a lot of the time slashers for me typically work best when they're from the 80s or the 90s. Those tend to be the ones I like the most. There are some contemporary ones I like. Terrifier is my personal favorite slasher franchise. I fucking love Terrifier. But there's a lot of, like, you know, more contemporary ones that I fucking don't like. And this is sort of just me giving my conclusion. This is my final thoughts of the show, as it were. But it is a genre I do like. I do like some more experimental ones. Some standalone ones, some proto-slashers, things like The Town That Dreaded Sundown or Black Christmas, the original. Even though I despise kind of the message of even the original Black Christmas, really that guy Peter in it is the real victim. # justice for Peter. Anyway, that's all I really have to say.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of slasher movies that like feel like almost like 70s anti-hero movies taken to their fullest extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just the idea of rooting for a guy who's a little bit of a bad guy in the 70s, I think that kind of like
a little bit
is a large part of what led to.
Well, yeah, but he's saying that's what the 70s movies that inspired it were, Steven. Keep up.
No, I know. I just love the phrasing "a little bit of a bad guy," even with the context.
Oh yeah, I mean, oh yeah.
But I mean, stuff like the point of Dirty Harry and Taxi Driver and stuff like that to get you to like this guy who's like kind of a bad guy, more like not like a complete hero, but not a villain.
Oh yeah.
You know? And then I feel like and then the horror movies take like that, where it's like, can you root for this guy who's a little bit of a bad guy, to like its fullest extreme of, can you root for this guy who's like literally just killing people? That's just, there's no good side to this person. Like, it's just kind of, I feel like the whole point of like a lot of horror is to put you just in the mindset of like a really bad.
So in your eye, that's just kind of a natural progression of 70s anti-heroes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that's like, you know, what makes like slasher films like, you know, also a little bit more scarier is that, you know, with other horror genres, it's either some other like worldly force or it's just like a monster. With a slasher film, it's more of like, you know, a person, you know, and a person, I mean, you know, you can actually like see like a person who's like tragic and something you can empathize or something you can maybe see to where you can almost like root for, not just in slasher films, but also like Saw, in which the Saw franchise is like infamously known for that. So yeah, I'd agree with Corbin.
I mean, all the best serial killers are also like in a lot of ways anti-heroes. Like, all my favorites usually are like, because they usually have some kind of moral justification, or it's a revenge story, you know, like a killer getting revenge from like after death against people, and even for the sins of their parents, like Freddy Krueger, even though that he clearly deserved what happened to him.
Yeah, and also I think like, you know, violence in concept is objectively cool, and as we all know, slasher villains are very much the cause of violence. Yeah, but they do it in such a stylish yet brutal way, where even the most evil motherfuckers like Freddy Krueger or Art the Clown can actually be likable. I think that's like
I mean, like, I think when most people root for the killer, a lot of the time it is just for Freddy Krueger because he's funny, even though he's like one of the sickest serial killers. Like, out of like a lot of
he did everything right.
Villains, he was like one of the pretty evil ones that just wasn't motivated by any good whatsoever.
But yeah, even with them changing the original script, there's still some pretty sus shit about the way he acts.
Yeah,
so it's weird that every kid in the 80s rooted for Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, like Freddy Krueger. I mean, his kills are brutal, and which is cool, but it's like also stylish. Like that's why I like not Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. With like the ragdoll with.
I think his kills actually get funnier after 3.
Yeah, well, and again, I know I kind of already tried to wrap up with giving my final thoughts, but since we're talking Nightmare on Elm Street,
I will say this real quick. Before everything's all said and done. You guys can do your thing, but just let me have my send-off as well.
Sure.
We'll let you have a send-off, too. I've already sort of given mine, but there is one thing I want to say about Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. I think Part 3 is massively overrated. I like Part 3, but it is probably one of the weaker ones, in my opinion. Like, I like that it has Nancy return, but honestly, like, rewatching them again, like, I think out of the sequels, the best one is probably, like, 2, and then maybe 4, and then... I also really like New Nightmare.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is like kind of Nightmare 1 and 2 are my favorites, but like 2 like it kind of works as like an anti-gay movie.
Even though I think we both agree that when people think that the intent was that the character was gay is kind of reaching, right?
Yeah. But
I can see why they came to
that way, though. It's clearly him trying to get rid of his gay urges, and so he can date this girl or whatever. Like, and it's like Freddy Krueger's literally killing people. So what? If Freddy Krueger's supposed to represent being gay, why is he killing people?
Yeah. No, Steven, like if we're going on the interpretation that Freddy Krueger represents his latent homosexuality, the only way to interpret the movie is anti-gay.
Okay, but that is if we're going in that route.
Yeah, well, and again, I don't think that's really the point of the movie, but that is a point a lot of people take and say that he's gay, and so I'm like, okay, well, if we're gonna go by that logic, then it's anti-gay. Anyway, I've already said my whole wrap up about
him, like coming out of the closet and does kill people. Outside of a joke, that literally is something that does happen.
Well, look, we could go on forever about this. I did a whole video.
Well, no, I'm saying that in reinforcing your point that would be a negative.
Right. Well, anyway, Steven, since I've already kind of given my send-off, even though I've kind of rambled on after, what did you want to say to wrap yourself up?
Okay, so now that you guys shut the hell up, I'm just kidding. Overall, I would say slashers are definitely one of those genres that I find myself gravitating towards, but it's one of those genres that I think people tend to, and this is not a diss, but this is just a reality, I think, overestimate how violent they are unless they are Terrifier or certain things, because a lot of the ones in late 80s, which I love because they're shot on location, natural lighting, great kills when they're there, great just fun characters and hijinks and a little bit of a non-PC nature. There is padding for certain ones, but when slashers are good, they're really good. And in the next episode, talking about stuff like The Burning, Intruder, Blood Rage, Ladrones de Tumbas, fucking Sleepaway Camp 1. I don't really care for the sequel. Slashers definitely are a kind of genre that when they're well executed, they are really good. I just think that the key is good pacing, stylish kills, and if you are going to go for a mystery slasher, I think characters actually do have to be endearing, because it's like you care enough to actually figure out who the killer is. And I do think there's some good contemporary slashers, Terrifier being one, but I also really enjoyed Thanksgiving. I think that was a slasher by Eli Roth that was very, very solid. There are some ones like the new Universal Halloween films, which are just stinkers. And fun fact, and again, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but just let me finish off a little bit. Did you know that Danny McBride is actually the screenwriter for that whole trilogy?
Yeah, I
Danny
had heard
McBride.
that.
Yeah, so that should maybe he should just stick to being the funny guy. But overall, good genre. Definitely when it's the most exploitative it can be, it could be really, really fun. And yeah, but overall, I thought this was a pretty good session. And and I also, giallos, which I wasn't gonna hamper on more about, but if we ever get to talk about giallos and Italian horror, that'd be really, really fun.
Well, since you bring up Sleepaway Camp, I'm definitely going to have to go on a little bit about that next time. But we've gone on, I think, a good amount this time.
Yeah, so yeah, I agree. Yeah, so my final part on slasher films, I agree with everyone here, but also gore is cool. So that's why slashers rock. That's why I think they rock.
It also has to be practical. Lastly,
yes, yes.
I think that's kind of a must.
Yeah. Not only follow Deca Striker's letterbox and follow Corbin's YouTube channel, Rabid Waffles, and subscribe to Fugitive Red Eye. I'll link their stuff on the description. But until next time, this is Sugar Booger flicking up Toodles.